Hey guys, welcome to our next episode of Madison and Mountain View. Today we're going to discuss the marathon, which our CEO and co-founder, Joseph Jaffe, just ran. And
Yay!
Woo!
Big round of applause.
Yay! Oh, sorry, I should just, look, I don't want this to be about me or anything. It's not like I'm excited about nothing else. I'm sorry, can you see me? We seem to be having some resolution issues. So yeah, so I actually wrote my online spin piece today about the New York Marathon, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but also just kind of talking about technology and innovation. I kind of started off with a parody saying I actually failed at my goal to run the New York Marathon because I put at Jaffe Juice on my shirt, and throughout the marathon, people would, and I put Joseph as well, and people would shout, "Go Joseph, go Joseph!" And I kept on saying, "Take a photo of me, put it on Instagram, hashtag me, put me on Instagram, put me on Twitter." And I looked at my Instagram and Twitter and Facebook feeds, and I got all of 0 tweets or hashtags or mentions. 0, a big round 0. So that experiment failed. But I kind of made the point, being a little bit self-deprecating, that and certainly the evolution people know this part of the rhetoric or the shtick, which is the word social media is an oxymoron, because social is humans connecting with other humans, and media comes from the term medium, neither rare nor well done. And you put them together, oil and water, right? Water is, we need it to breathe, we need it to live. Without water, we die. Oil is greasy oil, snake oil in a sense. So we put oil and water don't mix. Social and media don't necessarily mix. The fact is, the New York Marathon was an incredibly social occasion. And that's really what it was about. It was about the crowd. It was about the adrenaline. It was about being there and being present. And it wasn't just about the physicality of being there. From a mobile standpoint, there was the possibility to be there as well, specifically referring to an app. So there was a new sponsor this year, which is Tata Consultancy Services. So it was known as TCS, the TCS New York Marathon. And they put together this new thing called an app. So apparently now there was an app for that, that just, simply allowed you to do a bunch of things, but one of them was to track runners. So every 5 kilometers, in real time, it was actually pretty amazing. I was actually looking at my own splits while I was running. You could actually really get a good sense as to where the runner was at any given point in time. And there were predicted finishes as well. So it was also nice that they were kind of predicting where you were going to finish. Unfortunately, with me, it began at about 4:30, and it ended up going down and down and down. But I actually ended up running 5:11. And just had a lot of gas left in my tank. Sprinted the last marathon. I was running at just over 9 minutes a mile when I finished, which is kind of crazy because I'd been at 13 going into it. So unfortunately, the app didn't help my co-founder. Well, it did, didn't. But Gina was.
It needs to be in smaller increments. My feedback to the app maker is smaller increments. So I knew when you were at 15.5, I was at 17. So I knew I was in the right spot, and you hadn't hit 18 yet. I think it was every 3, actually, because it told me you're 15.5 and then you're 18.
well, that's miles. He was saying kilometers.
No, I'm talking kilometers. Oh, wait. Yeah.
Well, there were the different splits. Like, for example, it was every 5 kilometers, but also then they had certain milestones, like, for example, hitting the halfway point, etc.
Right, 13.
Yeah, and so we'll park there for a second. The funny thing is, with my wife and kids, I just said to them, yeah, meet me on 69th and 1st. So they, at least I knew exactly where to look for them. But what they were actually doing was they were tracking me through iCloud and through the ability to share my location. So they did see the moving dot the whole time. So I have to say props to Apple because, Apple really saved the day
Yeah.
in terms of giving that accuracy. I think, obviously from a security standpoint, you would have to be able to figure out certain levels of, I guess, permissions in terms of being able to see the moving dot. But another thing, why you wouldn't be able to put a layer of augmented reality, so you could, almost put your phone up and be able to see little arrows and boxes showing who the runners are, or certainly
Oh,
be
that
able
would
to
have
get
been
a sense.
brilliant.
In the crowd.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Like,
even you as
cheering.
you as a runner holding it up to see the crowd and spot your family could have been valuable.
Well, someone was actually teasing me. They said, Joe, this would have been the perfect occasion for Google Glass. I'm like, just don't go there.
Except it would get all sweaty. But
Exactly, and I probably would like throw water on my face, and it would mess up the glass. But certainly, when you think about those sports, glasses, those visors, you do think, it's almost like it's interesting because I think we're at that point in time where, you almost get a sense as to how to keep the purity and the sanctity and the integrity of of events like this. It's not just the New York Marathon, but it's any marathon or any kind of sporting event. But then also saying, well, where does progress take us? Why shouldn't you be able to immediately tag people and plug people into Twitter and Facebook? It kind of would be cool where people, it would probably disrupt, we talk about what's your heresy. It would disrupt the official marathon photographers to a degree, but again, it's like, well, think about, for example, like, I'm taking my son to a Knicks game tonight. Imagine not being able to take your mobile phone into a sporting event now, or a concert. That ship has sailed. You can't control it anymore. And so I just think, like, at some point it'd be kind of cool that people taking photos on the sidelines would be able to immediately tag people, based on punching in a number. Essentially, it's just linking your number to Twitter or Facebook, etc. And so, like, if I'm a spectator and I take a photo of someone running and I look and I see their bib number, I should be able to plug that bib number into a Twitter API or Instagram API or Facebook, and then be able to share that with them. It'd be very cool. It's a different way of being able to say, go Joseph, or, share more of the unconventional, candid, informal, maybe less staged kind of moments, where someone is taking strain, or, whatever the case may be. So, that was, I think, a reflection in terms of where it could go. What was amazing to me was how my family and friends around the world were, in fact, tracking me live and in real time. My mother in South Africa, some friends were basically, they put a text message, a group text together, and I only saw afterwards, they said, look, his pace is slowing down, looks like he's trying to give the Kenyans a chance. So, there were also some pretty good signs, some weird signs, like, run as if the runner behind you has Ebola. I thought, like, a little inappropriate. In Williamsburg, there were a group of people trying to coerce runners to chug down a beer route.
And then throw up.
I didn't bite. There was the best sign for me, because if you know me, how much I love my scotch and my whiskey, I stopped drinking like about 3 or 4 days, so I didn't even take a social drink, and I just happened to take a photo. I took a lot of photos of the crowd, and obviously, if you follow me, you would see it, but if you don't, just go look up Jaffe Juice on Instagram, or, I syndicated it on Twitter and Facebook as well. But I think I got some really kind of amazing photographs. But one of them, just by accident, was someone was holding a board that said, "Whiskey misses you too." So I was like, like my heart, my poor heart. I think just one other reflection from my side, and then see if you guys had any thoughts, just just as spectators, but also as marketers, from an innovation standpoint. ASICS did this amazing thing, which I didn't. Well, two things. Like, it's not like there were fails, but ASICS did this incredible thing where they created 3D printed renderings of athletes. I think, Lauren, you sent that to me. And then they kind of put them in different positions based on, I don't know, all the other stuff they did. And I thought to myself, why on earth did they limit it to 500? Why not do 5,000 or 50,000? You know, a la zero, why not monetize marketing? I would have paid $50, $70, $100, you know, for my own little 3D printed rendering as well. What a miss to kind of limit it. So classic marketing in terms of being able to, you know, when you come out with gold, when you come out with a great idea, always this ability to limit based on stupid reasons like budget or whatever the case may be, when the brand spends hundreds of millions or tens of millions or just millions of dollars on paid media. From an influencer marketing standpoint, why not reach out to all the runners with over 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 or 40,000 followers on Twitter for instant, you know, kind of earned media reaction? It's a no-brainer of a move, in my opinion. And so I was kind of like now disappointed after all that to realize this thing was going on. I didn't know about it. That's the classic thing we always say to brands, right? It's like, why don't you tell people about the stuff? The other thing that was kind of bizarre is that I was just hashtagging NYC Marathon the whole time. And of course, it's TCS NYC Marathon. I'm in social media. I didn't even know what the official hashtag was because I didn't see it anywhere. You know, now maybe I'm blind, or maybe I was blind to it, or maybe I wasn't paying attention. But come on, I mean, with all the emails, etc., how hard is it to say this is the official hashtag? And more importantly, use it. We encourage you to use it. You know, we want you to use it. Incentivize people. Any runner who uses the hashtag will be automatically entered to win a place in next year's marathon. But it's interesting. I guess, you know, those are my thoughts today, just in terms of being the runner. None of that takes away from the unbelievable experience, something, you know, scratched off my bucket list. I was the happiest person in the world, and I still am. So I'm not griping, but I think it is interesting to look at these events sometimes from the inside out. These are tent-pole events. You know, how many chances do you get to make such a big splash? And if you are an organizer or a sponsor, just go for it. You know, just like the runners are going for it. And
I think
what's possible, go for it.
I wonder if, and I'm pretty sure, they are very stringent with trying to protect the actual sponsors and in a way maybe shut down anyone on the periphery trying to do something, when instead they should probably be embracing those other brands and those creators and makers who are trying to do things outside of spending $1 million to sponsor. If you look at something like South by, you've got your main, I don't think nowadays anybody even knows who the main sponsors are and who the side kind of tailgate sponsors are, or people just trying to get into it. And I think instead it'd be really interesting. New York on a whole has been so generous with the maker and the entrepreneur and the technology community. You know, I didn't know about a hackathon to build an app that could do something like you were talking about with finding people in the crowd. You know, it doesn't feel like for this event there's a lot of call to action to get other brands, makers, entrepreneurs developing and supporting and creating around the event, probably because they're trying to protect the sponsors. And you know, you can't wear certain things if you're volunteering because it's conflicting with the sponsors, and they try to keep it so close. It'll be interesting to see how much longer that can last for them.
Well, actually, I mean, you bring up a really good point, because New York City, with OpenCo, with New York City is digital, you know, with all these initiatives, New York City of all places has put this massive kind of stake in the ground in terms of representing the innovation, the startup, the entrepreneurial, the digital side. But I think my point is, I'm not even talking about kind of the concept of brand jacking. I'm talking about just even ASICS and Airbnb and all these official sponsors.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, go for it. Why dip your toe in the water and then pull back? It's almost like starting a marathon, you know, not to be kind of funny about it, but it's like starting a marathon and then saying, well, I crossed the Verrazano Bridge, I'm done, you know, I've got my photo. It's like, why wouldn't you go for it? So, but I think, you know, as I said, for me, just kind of some final thoughts are, you know, I called it the article, the New York Social Marathon. It really is the New York Marathon, and that is inherently social and always has been physically. But I think it's this recognition that today, and certainly that ship has sailed, especially with millennials, social is digital, social is mobile, social is social in terms of the ability to not have to physically be somewhere to actually experience the intimacy, the engagement, the emotion, and you know, to that intimacy of feeling like you're there. It is as much virtual as it is physical, and I think the ability to kind of tie that in, especially, you know, with RFID and etc., it doesn't seem like we're too far away from being able to make a few small tweaks that can make a few major differences and impact. So anyway, I hope you liked the article and enjoyed the chat today. And an item off my bucket list. I think I'm one and done, but as they say, and I'm sure you will laugh at me for saying this, it's like getting horribly drunk and then swearing the next morning that you'll never drink again, and come next week you're drinking again. So never say never. I'm one and done. That said, see you at next year's New York Marathon.
Bye.
Bye, guys.